welcome to the very first Leostream in the Wild presentation. The idea of this series is to give you a chance to hear real live stories from real live Leostream customers and have them discuss, what kind of problems did they solve with Leostream, why did they come to us, and just give you a good idea of what it's like to actually work with Leostream. So rather than have you just stare at the slide, let's give you some faces to go with the voices. So here we are. Please allow me to introduce Ron Romano. He is the Director of Endpoint and Enterprise System Management at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. Ron, we are so excited to have you. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody, and thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I love this stuff.
Oh, awesome. Well, then let's dive right into it and just give us a little overview of how Leostream has enabled your students to work remotely.
Sure. Like many of us over the last year, we were searching for solutions to allow students to continue their work, whether there was a pandemic issue going on or other things. And of course, with the pandemic, the unfortunate pandemic, we've also are learning to work, teach, learn in new and creative ways. So we were looking to upgrade at Belmont University, and we're a big entertainment business school, and we have a large audio engineering and a large film program at the school here. So we need a lot of high performance systems. We're always at students are adding footage, they're making films, we've got recordings going on. So that stuff has to be able to maintain regardless of if students can be on campus at the moment or not. So we were making a move to make a very large upgrade to our overall Avid system. Avid is the software that we use, like Media Composer and Pro Tools, for our programs in audio engineering and film, right, to edit movies and music. So we decided to make part of that the ability to bring in. We have a great facility that has over 125 places where students can go in labs or edit rooms and actually physically work on films, access our Avid media storage. So from any computer in the building, they can get their footage, without walking drives around. We got a big Avid RAID Nexus system that they can access and edit in real time in 4K footage and things. So those things are here physically, but with pandemic or remote concerns, we needed to be able to replicate that off campus. And what we were looking to do is bring in we were going to rack up about it turned into 87 HP clients using the Z Central protocol. And as we were working with the vendor, the thought was as well, to do that, have to use a VPN and give students the ability to VPN. Well, right away with the university, that's just something we can't do. We can't use a VPN and pass that on to students and that for security policies with the university and things. We even keep our staff and faculty VPN usage very small, just for those reasons. So I kind of began the search, how do we do this? And, like most of us, it just was like, let's go to Google and see what we can find. And, there was Leostream. And, there were some other options and stuff, but boy, that Leostream star shined really bright right away. And I knew I had found something that I thought was gonna be the solution. Ultimately, it did end up being that. But that was kind of our story to get in that. So Leostream was what really allowed us to bring the system, make the investment in all that infrastructure here physically, and make it a success for students. That's where it started.
So really the Leostream Gateway is kind of the star that was shining because it allowed you to do that VPN-less access so that you could connect to, and I believe you had, they were Z Central workstations, right? That was the solution you were using?
That's part of phase 2. So,
okay.
Yeah. So we're moving towards that. And that's what was so great. My role at the university has been to be highly embedded as a tech into our college of entertainment, but I also am now providing solutions that need to be campus wide. And the Leostream solution, not only was it something that could solve this this thing we were looking to do in our college of entertainment, but I knew it was going to be a solution that would allow us to expand it through the university. So being very responsible with the funds that we spend is a big part of any organization, certainly in education. So I take that responsibility, very seriously, that responsibility very seriously. And Leostream really was just here, it was able to do everything we needed to do and then some. So yeah.
Awesome. And how has the reception been by your students? What do they think of the solution?
It's great, and it's just worked as advertised, and that's what we want in education. It's very different here with education. When we use systems like this, we're not using it in an application where we've got a bunch of staff people that get trained on it. They might use this system for years and become sort of experts on it. It's kind of the reverse here at Belmont, right? Every semester, we've got a new group of students that may be in a class that needs access to these resources. So we have to kind of have a quick set it and forget it way to put these things up, get students trained quickly. And we were able to do that with this system as well. And that's highly important to us as administrators of these systems, to our facilities manager who interfaces with the faculty to deliver the instructions. Really every semester, we've got a new slew of students. We even stay out of any kind of Active Directory. We just sort of take those 100 students, load them in as users, get their passwords lined up. And then each class, we go in and we have, maybe in one class, we spend an hour with them. We have a workflow PDF, and kind of from there, we just take any questions. So the training time's quick, the uptime's quick for them, and it just works so well. And again, with it being an HTML5 browser-based access, everybody has the ability to get to these, whether they're, here in Nashville in their dorm in Belmont, or if they're across on the West Coast in LA working on a film project there. So that was the beauty of another really great thing about us with Leostream administratively. It was a tool that allowed us to, every semester roll students right into that use, and they're using it and loving it. And we've found so many great things that this will do for us moving forward too.
Awesome. So it's the HTML5 viewer within Leostream Gateway that the students are using. So that's neat. I didn't realize that it was that use case.
Yep. So we're doing that, and then the Z Central is the protocol to connect to the machines from the HP. So so it's just working really good, and we keep it. Again, the Leostream, it's great. It allows you to get complex or keep it really sandboxed, which is what we prefer to do with not only the Leostream, but we do that with our Avid systems and things. We keep those very simple because, again, it's that constant rotation of users that we've got to be able to ramp up quickly and get them moving. And again, just to speak further to it, the other, the student experience, what's great is, of course, in unfortunate pandemic times, if we were unable to have anybody on campus, they can access the systems from anywhere. They have, good internet and that browser connection. Once they get to that physical system in our facility, they'll also still have access to that footage that might be stored on the servers. We also use another service to securely upload footage if they're in LA and they're shooting a film and they want to upload footage to our servers here. Then they can use our Leostream Connect to get in and edit that footage. So we've got a full remote solution. And not only is it beneficial if people can't be here, but it also doubles our sort of building capacity, because if our edit rooms are full, especially when it's students, they're pushing it to the end, they got to get their films edited, and that's a lot of work to build a film in the time they have allotted. So they can do some work in our physical facilities, or they can continue after hours in dorms or from home or wherever, because they can just jump onto it through the web and have access to their footage, all those things. It's just been great.
I want to back up for a second. You mentioned that you're using local users in the broker, which is a reasonably unique workflow that Leostream can handle, and that some of our customers implement, because it separates you, it kind of segregates you from the Active Directory management aspect of a hosted desktop environment. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on sort of the advantages that's bringing to you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just one less step to integrate, right? From our side, where I just sort of administer that GUI for the Leostream, and but the nice thing for me is I know that we can add that if we need that, and we may at some point. But again, we like to sort of go with that, keep it simple, and a little less layers of things to have to go through is advantageous for us, since it's only a small pool of users. It's not thousands and thousands of users where that would be really kind of tough to manually or import in quick without that connection. It just again, we like things that we can sandbox, can make us look successful and be great for the end user. And us just doing local users has made it super easy, because then we can just clean those out and re-access when the spring semester rolls out around. And it's easy for us we don't have to make a big conversation out of that every semester. It's like, where's the Excel spreadsheet of the users? Here we go. Let's load them in and go, and done.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes particularly if the Active Directory server is managed by an entirely different IT team, sometimes it can take a long time to get some of those changes made. And this way, if you have new students who join mid-semester, you just add them in and as a local user and you're ready to go.
Right. Yeah. And we have a great group here, but that is the case. Another group, manages those systems. So while it's easy to work with them, this just is even easier because this has that capability for us to do, and they're fine with that too in this case.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you touched upon how you built the Leostream environment to kind of satisfy a particular use case of accessing these Avid devices, but then people were finding new and exciting ways to leverage the solution as well.
Yeah.
Can you touch on those a little bit?
Yeah, when I think one of the most interesting ones that came up by accident, and we talked about it the other day, was we actually had a class on campus who was using a lab to teach, and we have the same kind of physical machines in there, and they would go in and use Media Composer, let's say in this case. Well, there was a Media Composer patch that went through that room that was giving them trouble, and the systems were crashing. And we got a call from that instructor, and it was kind of really a cool accident. He said, "Hey, it's not urgent, but whatever is going on is Media Composer is crashing." But what we did was we just had all the students jump onto our Leostream system and access the remote machines from the classroom as a quick way to just keep class moving. So it gave us like a redundancy that we might not have had, and it turned time is money in business and education, and students are sitting there waiting. So the professor just sort of pivoted and said, "Hey, let's go to the remote, jump on a browser on these iMacs instead of the Media Composer. We'll all log in and we'll use Media Composer from the remote systems instead." And it was a great, it was relieving to him. It was relieving to us, because urgent issues, right? We're all over it. We want to jump in and get those things fixed right away if it's holding up a class. And it gave us kind of that disaster recovery feel to that as a backup. So really cool.
Right. So is that one thing you're thinking about using the system for a little bit more in the future?
Yes, we will make sure that it's known. If that has to come up, you can certainly jog to the remote systems right where you're at and stay in place. So that's really cool. And I'm sure we will, as we grow our systems and our connections, we'll keep that as a piece of the toolbox for sure.
Awesome. And it sounds like, in a way, not just the DR solution, but some of these other use cases. So students were able to work off hours, and then you don't have to pay for that overnight staff to actually be on campus. So it sounds like you actually were able to reap some unexpected cost savings in the end by implementing the solution.
Definitely, let's talk about that. Our senior leadership was great and had great support for us in this project, and I definitely have to mention that. That's hugely appreciated. Belmont University has a great group here, and we were making a substantial investment when we brought this in. It was a large investment because of all the upgrades that we were doing and the things we were adding. And that's, again, not just because we needed it, but Belmont has a real commitment to being the best and for our students in education, and especially in all fields. And we're known for that entertainment industry as well. Belmont University physically is at the end of Music Row in Nashville. We are Music Row's university. So nonetheless, with our building that we've only been in for 6 years, it was a new home for our College of Entertainment. Our programs are growing so fast and so well that we're already starting to hit physical capacity in that building. And so for the last year, it's been, hey, are we going to staff this building 24 hours so that students can use it 24 hours, or, and that's expensive and has other issues with students and things, being in and out of buildings all night. We have campus security concerns. We have to staff it. You can't just open the doors and say, go for it. So part of what we realized when we were putting this together was part of that pitch was it really allows us to have a virtual building at night when the building is actually closed. So that made it really, really enticing, and probably helped with, the whole overall decision to do this system was, that was a lot less expensive than building a larger building was to go remote with these systems at night and weekends. And quite frankly, if I'm a student, I'd probably rather be in my dorm room at 2 a.m. working on my film if I can, than having to run over to the building. Just some logistics about that are just nicer, and that for late stuff. And our campus is certainly beautiful and great enough to walk between buildings, and it's not that big of a stretch. But there's a convenience factor. I think that's desirable too, and it opens doors for that. I think if we have to do other online courses or training, we have this capability now, so it opens a lot of doors. This was, the initial thought was, this is something we need to respond to with pandemic, but it just started to multiply the uses that it has beyond that. So that when that happens, then everybody's on board. That it makes it real easy, because unfortunately at the time the pandemic, it was like everybody's hopes, right, was this hopefully won't last forever. So we're going to spend all this money. We need to see benefit, not just for pandemic response, but for going beyond that. And it was started to become easy to show once we brought in the Leostream and the whole accessibility. So, unfortunately, we're still dealing with those dynamics of the pandemic, but we've got so much coverage with this system now.
Out of curiosity, so has it expanded the student base that you can attract now? Will you allow people to, like, in the future, will people have to be on campus, or can you actually find students that maybe are not in Tennessee who can then come and not move to Tennessee and join the university?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And that some of that I have to defer to how Belmont decides to present our classes and things. And I know as with any university, right, online and remote learning and remote classes and things is something that is definitely in our wheelhouse and growing. So yes, it will be a tool for that. And as you know, with film and audio production, there are lots of benefits to also being in the facilities too. So it's all things that, yes, we're going to be virtualization and these kinds of things are all on our hot list, just like anybody's in higher ed. And especially with what's been going on. So yes, the answer is yes. But I can't speak formally on how we will move our online class, initiatives.
Yeah, understood. So I realized, since I kind of jumped straight into things because I was so excited, and I forgot to do my 2 housekeeping things at the beginning, which was to let everyone know this session was being recorded. So however session's recorded, we'll make the session available for everyone afterwards on demand. And the other thing, which a couple people have figured out, is you can answer questions in the little box underneath the presentation. So I have a few more of my own personal questions, but let's jump to one of theirs before we move on. And because I like this question, basically they're saying, okay, this seems almost too good to be true. What went wrong during the deployment?
I got to tell you that when we vetted it out with Leostream, myself and our director of network services worked together to say, okay, does the solution work for Belmont? Does it work for our network services people? Security, all those things. Also, we had entertained, not because of Leostream, but because if we're going to have 87 machines editing HD footage at the same time, we also had to make sure our pipe was big enough. All kinds of stuff came into play. And while we were working with Leostream, and before we implemented, before we even purchased it, we were talking with their sales folks, who were all great. Their tech support were all great. And they answered all of our questions so quickly that we at first were like, yeah, this almost seems too good to be true. And, but it was all true. And it was great. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm such an advocate for Belmont and for what we did everything went so smoothly. It was as promised. And I'm just gonna, I'll say it again. In the very beginning, Randy, the salesperson that I worked with, said, "Ron, I'm gonna make you look like a rock star. This is gonna be great." And it was all true. It really has worked out so well in those cases. We really didn't hit any bumps. And, we did have a vendor that helped, who was installing the whole system, who implemented, the installation, all that stuff. And they were relatively new working with Leostream. They didn't report any issues to me with getting things set up. So really, we didn't really see any speed bumps with this thing. And matter of fact, with all the big systems that we do, we're expecting them. And the facilities manager, Dave, and I kind of looked at each other after we rolled this out. We're like, that went so smooth. Everything went so smooth. And we turned it over to students, and that went smooth. So yeah, for us, the dream did come true that we were looking to achieve.
Oh, fantastic. And how long did that dream take to come true? How long did it take you to implement the solution?
Well, again, with higher education, our windows are small. They always get smaller because of added classes and things. We rolled out, we put in, our vendor, part of this project, put in 5 full racks of equipment in a server room, and pulled some old out that we upgraded in that time in about 2.5 weeks over Christmas break. So we basically revamped our entire RAID, Avid Nexus system, upgraded everything. They did it. Marshall Graphics did a fantastic job for us, and they implemented the Leostream servers, our Media Central. We had all this new Avid gear, all this new Leostream gear over a Christmas break. They worked really hard. They were here a lot, and they just kind of really, all they needed from us were IP ranges and things, and they just knocked it out. And that's a testament to them, as well as the products that we installed from these guys from Leostream and Avid. Everything just kind of was ready to go. We needed it to go for the spring semester of this year of 2021, and it was.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about specific Leostream functionality that you use. When we talked the other day, you mentioned how you're re-imaging machines when students are logging out of them. Can you kind of go into a little bit more about what you're doing there?
Yeah, with since we're educational, right, and we have student users, and they're learning software on these machines, whether it be the ones that we have, commissioned within the Leostream, these HP machines, or our machines in studios, film editing spaces, labs. They're learning, and some of them are fluent with the OS or the software, and some of them aren't. So we use a product from Phoronix called Deep Freeze that allows us, once I've imaged all of our machines, whether they're these remote machines that are available through our Leostream system or lab machines physically on campus or in studios, Deep Freeze allows us to create an image on a machine and then freeze it. So what that means is, in many, if there's some IT people out there, maybe you've seen this software before. So with Deep Freeze, once I've frozen a machine, if an operator uses that machine, if they change settings, they can really do anything. Once that machine reboots, it goes back to that golden image that was set, that's frozen. And if we need to make changes, we thaw the machine and add patches or things, and then freeze it back up. So what's really cool with Leostream, right, when someone logs out, that machine reboots, and then it comes back to that golden image every time. So that software and that kind of policy and thing working together keeps us super fresh. And what's great is those things help us hugely from a tech support issue, because faculty know to train their students, hey, if you're having an issue with the machine, of course, Leostream reboots it, but if it's a lab issue, and their first line of defense is reboot the machine. It should come back to the physically state that works the way it needs to, and they can go from there. And I can tell you that with the deeper and deeper implementation of that software over the 6 years that I've been here, we have studios and film spaces. People record bands on the weekends at nights. My night and weekend calls almost are, it's, I don't want to say zero, but it's so close.
Don't jinx yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We never want to say it never happens, but I mean, it's significantly declined into that because the reboot takes care of it. I mean, we know that it works. Um, and if we do get a call, it still typically can just be user error. And I say with all respect, it's again, we're working with students that are learning this stuff. So
Mhm.
they don't know how to do it like a professional does yet. They will when they're done here.
Right. So it's nice you have a system designed to handle those kind of situations gracefully.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they love the fact that rebooting it solves it for them too. It empowers them to feel like, okay, cool. Yeah. It wasn't me. If it is a user, maybe if it was a machine that's physical that did get rebooted, but someone was using it before them, maybe they, once they reboot and it works for them, they realize, oh, it wasn't my fault. I mean, I know that I was trying to do the right thing. So
Mhm.
it's really a really great tool, and it works really well in this case too.
Awesome. So the machines they're connecting to, are these all Windows? Have you had any Macs that you're connecting to as well, or how are you working with Macs?
Yeah, these right now through the Leostream, we're all connected to Windows. They're the HP, the Z series stuff, and we've got some of the Z2 77 of the Z2s and 10 of the Z8s, which are higher performance for the. We're given that pool. We have a pool of the Z8s that's designated for our capstone film students, those seniors, juniors making that final big 10-minute film that will they'll have for their resume piece. And then the other ones they can use as well, but are mostly for our production one type editing classes and students learning just how to get into production. But we are primarily a Mac college, and we have quite a bit over campus. So we intend to pull those in, and that's another thing that's really neat is if we need to respond with the Leostream system to having more, we can certainly install the agent on these machines, add licenses, and start to bring other physical machines into that one-to-one environment for students and create new pools. So that's another thing we loved so much about it was as you all know, once you kind of have that infrastructure on campus, as long as the network can see it, we can turn labs over really quick, really quick. So now I like the fact that we feel like we can be super responsive if we need to shift something more remote on campus. So that initial investment's been made.
Right. Awesome. So as you mentioned, you put the Leostream agent on something, it registers with your broker, you sort it into the right pool, assign the right students to that pool, and you're off and running.
Yep. So anyway, I'm a huge Mac Apple guy. Obviously, I hope people can see behind me my little Mac.
That is not a fake background, everyone.
That is not. Yeah. These are all Macs that have been probably for sure on campus. All have come from campus, and many come from our long audio engineering program where people have run on Pro Tools in the late 90s and 2000s and things. So yes, those are real, and they are all decommissioned for our new our little museum there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so and I see the question in the chat. But we that's the cool thing with the Leostream environment. We can work with any platform there.
Oh, awesome. So next steps, what are you looking at doing next with Leostream and beyond?
Next steps, phase 2 will be probably that AWS, the EC2, some stuff that I'm still learning through to start connected, and maybe other labs on campus too, so that are physically already there. So I think those are the things that we'll be looking to do. And like many organizations out there, we have sort of started to just have to look at our whole remote situation differently, just as of in the last 12 months. And we've done all this stuff in the last 12 months. So we're, drinking through a fire hose like many have been. But what's great is that I have confidence. I know I have the right tools in the toolbox. And that's really, as an IT specialist, I'm sure I'm speaking for many, that's what's key. We know we've got a premier solution here that allows us to do, bringing that virtualized aspect we want. We've got the physical thing going. It's just been really, again, the dream of it has come true.
So it sounds like maybe there's a little hybrid approach in your future, a little on-prem, little AWS.
That's correct. Yeah. And again, we're investigating exactly what that'll look like. with those services and with you guys for what's going to work for Belmont, and then I know we'll be implementing new and more things over the next 12 months.
Fantastic. I have another question here. So we talked about like the ways that you saved money, but did anyone ever kind of run the numbers and just say, okay, here's how much we actually managed to save?
We haven't done that super formally. We have been watching the usage, and I will say that it'll be interesting now because this will be the first semester where we've kind of come back fully on campus. We have mandates for masks and things and all that. So, at a university level, they're being very responsible. So we're going to see how our first semester with it was in the spring. It was new. And also we still were doing a lot of hybrid and that. So now we want to see, now that it's kind of a new kind of style of semester, let's see where that usage goes. So we're still kind of tracking all those kind of cost savings. And again, let me just say right away for us, it was cheaper than a new $92 million building.
So you saved 91 million and some amount.
Yeah. So I mean, that justifies it right there, right? If you can basically replicate your editing capabilities remotely for a fraction of that cost, you're ahead. So again, that was a big justification there, right as we got out of the gate. So studies will be done, but we already feel good about it.
Yep. No, that's awesome. That's so awesome. All right. Well, let's see. I've answered all the questions. Anyone else want to type in a question for us before we wrap it up in the next few minutes? I do see a question. Do you have a sense of whether the student's output is better or worse based on remote work versus on-site? Oh, that's an interesting one.
That is. I don't really have a complete sense of that because I'm not the faculty teaching the class, but I can tell you that that the response has been overwhelmingly great. And I think, let me start by saying our remote machines primarily focus on them having access to Media Composer and Pro Tools, primarily for being able to keep moving with editing and footage and stuff like that. So they still have some need to come in physically when they can and do some other things in After Effects and that on the campus. Now we intend to expand the software capabilities of those machines that are available remotely, but we started so far with like, hey, at least you can be cutting footage and piecing things together. So I think their creativity is still spawning from a combination of how they use all types of resources that are available to them. I think right now, the way we're using that, it's like they're using that tool for them as the convenience tool. Or yes, again, if they're really gone. And if we know that that's all they have access to, I think our faculty knows how to adjust. But our faculty was thrilled to have this capability. We, like many schools out there, we have faculty that are professionals from the real world, from recording studios, networks, all these places, right? They also are people that are teaching here, so they're amazed at the tools that we have because they've been out there working with some of these same tools in the real world. So our students know they've got some really great stuff. But I think that's probably how I would answer that. I don't really know. I think the students are still. We've got a great group of creative people and students. I think they're finding a way to make it great, whatever resource they're using.
Mm-hmm. And the students themselves, so they're basically doing a BYOD kind of, they might have a Mac, they might have a Windows machine, they could be, I don't know, could even be a tablet, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, and mostly most of them are coming in with MacBooks. It seems like that's pretty popular for students when they're BYOD. Yeah.
So they're connecting from their MacBook through the Safari web browser to their Windows machine.
Yeah, and we've just really had no real the feedback as far as negative feedback with that experience for them. Usually with the HP Z Central, they've got to have the little piece of software so it brings the key back and forth. If it's anything, it's just that they didn't get that put on there yet, and they're waiting for that. So it's all been very small things that are part of that workflow document that we do provide.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Well, do you have any last thoughts that you want to make sure we at Leostream know, as far as like things we could do to make your life better or
Yeah,
features
well,
that you really want?
I think everything has been super. Everybody at Leostream's been great, from support to yourself to sales, and we really appreciate that. It's very important for us as a university to have a great two-way relationship, and for others out there that are looking like those kinds of things, we've definitely had that with Leostream and some other vendors out there, and it makes all the difference. I think for what we're all trying to do is just make the world a better place for students to learn and kind of get together and technology is what it takes now to advance that. So Leostream's been a great partner, and again, it's funny, everybody's still probably saying, well, is this guy getting paid to sell this stuff? No, it's because probably most of you are like me. I just want things that work the way they need to work, that are as low maintenance as they can be, and we can just keep, because we all have more things to do than just one thing. Leo's this system isn't the only thing I need to manage, right? We've all got to manage multiple things, and to have a system and a partnership that goes so well is super huge, and that's part of the reason we picked working with Leostream. I think other than that, the products, we've talked about some little more dashboard or reporting things, which I think are on the way, or hoping they're on the way.
They are, in fact.
Yeah. So that's why those relationships are important, so we can have that dialogue, and we've been able to have that with Leostream. So Karen, we really appreciate it, and everything has moved very fast for us with you guys, and it's been pain-free, and it's been successful. Again, you guys have made me look like a rock star, and that's, at the end of the day, that's all what we're all looking to do, just trying to knock it out of the park for the people we work for.
Well, Ron, that's very exciting. We have been thrilled to work with you. It's been a lot of fun, and it's always good for us to see, we like to see our customers be successful. So it's been really exciting working with your team and just seeing how you've leveraged the software and expanded its use and found new and exciting use cases for it. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I'm going to switch back to the slides and hide the face, so give everybody a final wave.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. And thank you.
And if everybody else wants to be a rock star like Ron, we do offer a free trial of the software, so you can try it out. It's easy to install, easy to configure, and we've got a new release coming up, the 9.1 release, which is going to have that fancy dashboard and a lot of other new functionality in it as well. So please give us a shout, drop us a line, sales@leostream.com. Ron, thank you again so much.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and hopefully we'll see everybody else at the next Leostream in the wild.